You're bewildered as to why Faith does not understand the power that she has. She's just like, oh, I was there, so, man. No, girl. You Faith fucking Evans, girl.
I don't hear nobody out there. Hold it down. Hold it down.
I got back to the Oakwood and told Kai I'd be leaving as soon as I could get a flight out. On February 1993, I was back in Newark, back in my room on Grammy Ave. I had learned a valuable lesson. No matter what, I would always be able to return to my family. I was 7 months pregnant and trying to prepare for motherhood. I was happy to be out of LA and away from Kai, but I knew I wasn't ready for motherhood. I was still receiving welfare benefits and getting prenatal care at Beth Israel. I wasn't sure what the future would hold with Kai. I just knew I needed to be back in familiar surroundings. We didn't communicate once I returned home. I just told him to send me some money so that I could buy a car before the baby came. He did, and I bought a used 1988 black and gray Ford Bronco just before my due date. We'd never had a serious relationship, but now as far as I was concerned, Kai and I didn't have any kind of relationship. My due date came and went, and my baby wasn't interested in showing up. When I finally pushed that baby out, I remember hearing my mom say, "It's a boy." But that was just wishful thinking. The 9-pound child that the nurse put in my arms was a little girl with slanted eyes that made her look like a little Buddha. In the summer of 1993, when China was about 2 months old, I decided to take her to Los Angeles so that her father could see her. I took my best friend Roz and my friend Tara for moral support in case he was still acting weird. We sat in the living room and waited. China was a chunky little baby with Kai's round brown face and slanted eyes. She was just starting to smile at me, and she was always really mellow and laid back. "Hey, Faith," he said with an awkward smile. He put his keys down on the kitchen table and made a beeline to where China was sitting in her seat. She was wide awake and looking at her father with interest. "Can I take her out of this seat?" he asked. "Of course," I said. "She's your daughter." He bent down and unbuckled China's straps. He picked her up and held her close to his face. "You are so beautiful," he said to China. "You are just the prettiest little thing." He held China close and kissed her chubby cheeks. Then he turned to face me. "You gonna stay out here for a minute?" he asked. "I'll be here for a few days and see what happens," I told him. "I just want you to get the opportunity to see China and spend some time with her." "Thanks. I appreciate that." Kai seemed like he was happy to see China, but he was still all over the place. He was in and out of the house entertaining women and all kinds of guests. I couldn't say anything. It wasn't my house, but still wasn't the best situation. After a few weeks, I was through. And when he pulled another disappearing act to Arizona, I knew it was time for me to go. I went back to my grandparents' house with China and just hung out for the rest of the summer, getting used to motherhood and trying to figure out what my next step would be. Within a year of my return to Newark, Kai and his crew were back in Newark too. I never got a definitive answer about what happened, but the house in the valley and the Cherokee and the videos and the albums, all that was over. My situation wasn't much better. I had no plan and no focus. I was completely in limbo. My next step was whatever was right in front of me. By the end of 1993, Kai and the crew began going to unique studios in Times Square. They were working on music with an R&B singer named Al B. Sure. Oh, that Al B. Sure, baby. You know, he get ready to come up with a documentary of his life or something. I don't know. He's trying to sell his lifetime story to Lifetime. I think, be careful, I'll be sure. Be careful. Don't sell it to that damn TV One, and don't sell it to that Lifetime. You know, if you could choose VH1. Not that goddamn Lifetime, because they will... God. Have you seen what Lifetime is not capable of? I was spending a lot of time up at the studio with the rest of the guys, and I'll be sure. Every once in a while, I would bring China to the studio to see her dad. I wasn't really paying attention to what they were working on. I was simply there with my daughter, visiting my baby daddy. I spent most of my time in the studio lounge watching television. A few weeks after they started working together, Kai played a song for Al that he'd been working on. It had some of my vocals on it, and I'll be sure asked who the female vocalist on the song was. Kai told him it was me. I was in the studio lounge at the time. He called out for me to come to the booth. For a minute, I'll be sure just stared at me. "This is you singing?" he asked. I just nodded. "Why didn't you say anything?" he said. He looked like he was actually angry. "I can't believe you can sing like this," and never said anything. You're bewildered as to why Faith does not understand the power that she has. She's just like, "Oh, I was there, so, man." "No, girl, you Faith fucking Evans, girl." "I wasn't here to sing," I explained to Al. "But you have a gorgeous voice," he said. "You're hanging out in the lounge every day with a voice like that. What's wrong with you?" I knew what I was capable of, but I was always very conscious of not overstepping my bounds and looking too eager for something. If it was meant for me to be involved in something, I believed it would happen naturally and that I wouldn't have to push it. "Girl, you needed to push that, because you's a bad mother." Al immediately started having me lay down vocals for different songs he was writing. There was still nothing formal about it. If I was around and he needed a female voice, I would sing it. And then Kai disappeared again. I could tell that I'll be sure was frustrated. He was trying to get a production deal, trying to sell the songs he was writing, and Kai, who was supposed to be helping him, had his own agenda. Faith sound like your baby father's on a crack tour." That's what it sound like, because only crackheads do shit like that. Get missing for a while, come back, be good. Then he start the itching and a scratching. That monkey on his back again. Then he get missing. He go back out on tour. That's what happens. Crackheads go on tour. I don't know what Kai was dealing with then. It's obvious looking back that he must have had some serious things going on in his life. Maybe he had some opportunities in different places, or maybe he just had some issues he needed to deal with and didn't know how to explain it to anyone. I'm thinking it's the latter. Even though China's father was MIA, Al and I had our bond at this point. So I was still in the studio helping out in any way that I could. "I need more help in the studio," he said to me one day. "What do you need?" "I'm writing songs and I need someone to demo them." "Are you interested?" "Of course," I said. "I need you here every day." Now, Al is making sure that Faith is paid for her work, because goddamn it, she deserves it. I was 20 years old, a new mom with an interesting new job that would pay me more than I could ever have dreamed. Now, she's saying life is good, but the problem is China is 6 months old and she haven't lost no weight yet. Okay, I told you that goddamn Faith was old big boned. That's why her body was looking crazy. Every day I would pack up China for the drive over to Manhattan in my beat up Ford Bronco. Most days I had to whisper a silent prayer as I strapped my baby into her car seat. "Please God, let this car get through the Holland Tunnel today." I loved my new gig with I'll Be Sure. I knew he had been a popular singer, but I didn't know he was a good songwriter, and I began to respect him as a musician. He taught me quite a bit about production and studio work. I didn't know he'd written and produced stuff for Tevin Campbell. I didn't know that either, Faith. This is news to me. And most importantly, I noticed right away that although he didn't really play instruments, Al B sure knew exactly what he wanted in terms of sound. Al B sure began calling me the doctor because of my ability to take a track and doctor it up into something special. It was a calm, relaxing work environment. His wife Jackie was nice too. I can remember, wait a minute, his wife Jackie? The fuck is Kim Porter? I can remember complimenting her on her beautiful pair of boots she was wearing, and the next day she bought me the exact same pair, which I thought was really sweet. For 6 months I worked with Al as a session singer, and I knew that he was also trying to sign me as an artist to the new label he was hoping to get off the ground. I was hopeful. But after seeing what Kai and the guys had gone through, I knew that the record business was extremely unpredictable. In the meantime, I was doing okay for myself. I had a new car. I was making $2,000 a week and still using the last of my food stamps. I was occasionally still hanging out with Kai and his crew, mostly so that he could spend some time with China. See, baby mother's always going over and beyond to make sure that some nigga that don't want to spend time with his child spend time with his child. Once in a while, they would need a ride to a studio session, and I would take them. They were no longer working with Albie Shore, but they still had other connections in the industry. Once they had time booked at a studio called The Hit Factory. It was early 1994. I drove them to their session and planned to wait so that I could drive them all back to Newark. Kai's crew had been hired by Puffy to work on a track for a new singer, a 15-year-old named Usher Raymond.